Love is a powerful and complex human emotion, often associated with warmth, affection, and deep emotional connection. However, when misused, expressions of love can become tools of manipulation and control. One such misuse is love bombing, a term that has gained significant traction in psychological discussions, particularly in the context of narcissistic relationships and emotional abuse. Love bombing involves an overwhelming demonstration of attention, affection, and admiration, typically at the early stages of a relationship, with the intent to manipulate or control the other person. Understanding the psychology behind love bombing is essential for identifying it and protecting oneself from its potential harms. Love bombing is a form of psychological manipulation wherein a person showers another with excessive affection, flattery, and gifts to influence or control them. Initially, it may seem like genuine romantic interest or even an idealized form of courtship. However, the intensity and speed with which love is expressed are red flags. This tactic is often used by individuals with narcissistic tendencies, but it can also be part of broader abusive relationship patterns. The central goal is to create dependency, disorient the target, and assert control over their emotions and behavior. Intermittent reinforcement. Love bombing operates partly through intermittent reinforcement, a principle from behavioral psychology. After the initial phase of overwhelming attention, the love bomber typically withdraws affection, only to reintroduce it unpredictably. This inconsistency creates a psychological addiction in the target, similar to gambling behaviors, where the brain becomes wired to seek the emotional reward of affection, making the person more susceptible to staying in a toxic dynamic. 2. Cognitive dissonance. Victims of love bombing often experience cognitive dissonance, a psychological conflict arising when reality doesn't align with expectations. After receiving immense love and validation, sudden shifts in behavior, such as criticism or emotional coldness, cause confusion. Victims may rationalize the love bomber's negative actions because they are mentally anchored to the memory of the initial idealization phase, causing them to overlook or excuse abusive behaviors. 3. Attachment theory. Love bombing taps into insecure attachment styles, especially anxious attachment. Individuals with anxious attachment may be more vulnerable to love bombing because they deeply crave intimacy and fear abandonment. The sudden and intense affection of love bombing meets these needs at first, but later manipulation exploits these very insecurities, keeping the person in a heightened state of emotional dependency. 4. Gaslighting and control. Love bombing often transitions into gaslighting. After establishing emotional dominance, the manipulator may begin to erode the target's self-esteem, question their perceptions, or isolate them from others. Because the victim has already been conditioned to view the manipulator as their source of love and validation, they are less likely to resist this control, leading to emotional entrapment. While not exclusive to any one psychological profile, love bombing is often associated with individuals who exhibit narcissistic traits or personality disorders, such as narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, or borderline personality disorder, BPD. These individuals may use love bombing as a defense mechanism against deep-seated insecurities or abandonment fears. Narcissists typically love bomb to gain narcissistic supply, admiration, control, and validation from others. Individuals with BPD might love bomb out of intense fear of abandonment, unconsciously overwhelming others with affection to prevent rejection. In both cases, the pattern is ultimately about control and emotional regulation rather than authentic connection. The psychological toll on victims can be severe. Many experience anxiety and confusion stemming from unpredictable behavior and emotional highs and lows. Erosion of self-esteem as they become increasingly dependent on the manipulator for validation. Difficulty trusting future partners due to trauma and emotional betrayal. Symptoms of PTSD, especially if the love bombing escalates into more overt forms of abuse. Victims often struggle with self-doubt and isolation, having been cut off from their support networks during the manipulation process. Education and awareness are the first lines of defense. Key signs of love bombing include rapid declarations of love or commitment early in a relationship, excessive flattery and idealization, pressure to move the relationship forward quickly, attempts to isolate you from friends and family, over-the-top gifts or attention that feel disproportionate to the relationship stage. Building healthy boundaries, seeking support from trusted individuals, and, in some cases, consulting a mental health professional can help individuals break free from such cycles.